Welcome to European Railway issue number 62, the DVD magazine for the continental enthusiast. In this programme, we travel to the Czech Republic to witness diesel and electrics at work to the south of Ostrava. Class 143s lost a number of passenger duties around Essen to EMUs. We take a look at the class at work before the changeover. We spent a Sunday afternoon and evening on the Semmering pass route in Austria. Early morning commuter activity is witnessed just to the north of Strasbourg. A look at the main line between Gmunden and Fulda in Germany. We travel to Switzerland to look at another mainline route to the east of Basel. And finally we head to Slovenia to view diesel and electric traction around the town of Borovnica. Ostrava is a large industrial city in the northeast of the country, close to the border with Poland. A southern avoiding line and a non-electrified route to the south are our main focus in this, our opening section of the programme. The detailed map shows our positions not far from a large steelworks, where we cover the area near Chernov and then onwards to the southwest around the town of Vratimov. Approaching the camera at the suburban station at Chernov is Class 471 electric unit number 471024, working the 1319 from Ostrava to CZECH. This is one of a roughly half-hour interval service on this line worked by these units. Running just behind is 162116. Ostrava is the third largest city in the Czech Republic, at around 350,000 inhabitants, and is located at the confluence of no less than 4 different rivers. The city's growth has been heavily influenced by the large deposits of high-quality black coal found in the area, which fueled much of the expansive heavy industry in the region. Nicknamed the Steel Heart of the Republic, much of this heavy industry has now closed down. Yet the city remains one of the most polluted in the European Union. Private operator Regio-jet operates a 2-hourly interval service between Praha and Harivov. This is 162115. Older style multiple units are also seen in the area. Here 460061 arrives with the 1330 stopping service from Opava Vychod to Tyšky Tyšin. Freight trains do run on this line, but during the hour we were here, there weren't any operating. The closest non-passenger carrying vehicle we saw was this track machine. We are now on the diesel line just north of Vratimov, as 754028 heads the 1522 Ostrava to Valashki Mezerici. You can expect one freight train per hour on this line to and from factories along the route. Here 742432 heads north with this mixed working at exactly 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the 25th of September 2014. Diesel units also operate on some services. Here 842025 is in charge of the 1552 Ostrava to Frenstadt Pad Radostium local service. The Class 754s tend to be found working the hourly service to and from Valashki Mezerici. Advanced World Transport are a private freight operator which have recently been bought out by Polish Cargo. Here 74460 and 618 head south with a loaded hopper train. The time is 16:25 hours. In the opposite direction, 742293 powers this trainload of finished Hyundai cars from the factory at Noszowice. This is the 1722 Ostrava to Regio-jet Mostek, headed by 754040. Just south of the station, the double-track lines become two separate single-track routes, where one serves a colliery and local factories, whilst the other continues south into the countryside and onwards towards Valashke Mezorici. As darkness falls, 754077 is seen powering away from the station with a southbound stopping service. This line offers a variety of motive power and traffic types, and its relative rural location means that it is well worth a visit should you wish to photograph or ride behind some of the locomotive types still in everyday use. From the December 2014 timetable change, Class 143 electrics based at Köln were replaced on the S6 Bahn service to and from Essen by electric multiple units. In this section, we take a look at the class at work, just south of Essen, from 6 locations between Essen-Werden and Husel. The time is just before 7 o'clock in the morning, and we are at Essen-Werden station as 143357 arrives with the 0648 from Essen to Köln-Nippes. Arriving in the opposite direction is 143949. 12 locomotives were involved in the daily diagrams, enabling 2 services per hour in each direction, using push-pull operated coaching stock. This is 143597, seen heading for Köln. Viewed from the other side of the crossing, we see 143177 heading north with the 0602 from Köln-Nippes to Essen. The sun was yet to rise over the valley of the Ruhr River, and what looked like Egyptian geese were concentrating on their breakfast. It's difficult to appreciate that this location is just 5 kilometres from the centre of Essen. Back to the trains, and 143949 heads south with the 0748 from Essen. On a typical day, these locomotives would cover 5 round trips between Köln and Essen. The flight path into Düsseldorf International Airport meant that there was always something else going on to attract your attention in between the trains. By now the sun was up, and here it catches this 143177 operated service bound for Köln. There's not much rail activity on this line apart from these S-Bahn trains, with no freight being seen during our 4-hour stopover. Here we see 143970 heading north towards Essen. This cormorant takes a break between its fishing duties on the Ruhr River, not far from the station at Kettwig Sluisy. (143045) returns south from Essen and crosses the bridge on the approach to the station. This is Husel, again underneath the flight path for Düsseldorf Airport. Arriving with the 0832 from Köln-Nippes is locomotive number 143853. Sister locomotive number 143583 heads south with a train from Essen. These ex-East German imports have been working around this area since the early 1990s, typically on S-Bahn services such as this. With the ever-increasing amount of privatisation of local services around the country, and the often resultant cascading of newer rolling stock, which are mainly multiple units, the occurrence of these locomotives around Germany is slowly but surely declining. One of the most interesting stretches of railway line in Austria is the main route that runs over the Semmering Pass to the southwest of Vienne. We paid a visit to the line on Sunday the 28th of September 2014, concentrating on the area to the west of the Semmering tunnels, but principally through the station at Spital am Semmering. Our first scene comes from the western end of the 1.5 kilometre long Semmering tunnel, as 116246 powers at the rear of this Regio-jet, the 1425 service from Graz to Vienne. Train EC103, the 0557 from Warszawa to Villach, heads southwest out of the tunnel at 1540 hours. Our visit to Spital coincided with local engineering work, which meant that the main westbound track was taken out of use whilst trains passed by on the adjacent tracks. Heading down the typical 22% gradient for the line is 1116198 on a trainload of hoppers. Superpower here for the 1314 Villach to Vienne railjet service, as 116253 and 116243 join forces to power the train east. Rail-jet services make up the majority of the passenger train scene. This is 1116-247 in charge of the 1455 Vienne to Graz. Diesel Loco 2016023 was in charge of the ballast train. This is the Stulek ski slopes. It boasts 4 chairlifts, 6 drag lifts and a gradual vertical drop of just under 1,000 metres. MRCE Dispolock hire locos numbers 1216953 and 182522 are paired up on this westbound Freightliner service bound for the Slovenian port of Koper. Shortly after, we see 1144, 068 and 059 heading east. 10-16045 rounds the curve in charge of train EC159, the 1603 from Vienna to Zagreb. After its engineering duties were concluded, number 2016023 heads west back to Wiener Neustadt with classmate number 030. Darkness came at around 7 p.m. as 1144266 and 1142611 were looped in the platform road with an eastbound set of hoppers. "14 minutes later and 116247 returns from Graz with the 1825 service to the capital. Late-stage engineering duties were still continuing, with ballast placement work taking place. This is 1144059, heading an unidentified class 1116. Number 114482 brings up the rear. Its braking duties over, 1144282 runs back east, light engine, some 12 minutes later. There are just 4 passenger trains per day that stop here at the station. In this view, 4023.011 is passed by 1116.008 and 1116.227. Finally, we see 1116246 with the 1955 service from Vienne to Graz. The line north of Strasbourg is our chosen location as we take a look at rush hour action to the north of the city, with scenes taken on Monday the 22nd of September 2014. This main line has a number of secondary, non-electrified routes joining it north of our location, and so sees a wide variety of diesel traction as well as electric train operations. Our first view shows one of the heritage electric classes at work, in the shape of BB25500 number 612, with the 0646 from Semmering. These locomotive services are now being replaced by new electric multiple units, with just 7 of these BB25500 locos now in use at Strasbourg depot. Another class on the endangered list in these parts are the BB67400 diesels that work local and a selection of TER services in and around the area. Z11500 unit number 11505 is forming the 0720 Strasbourg to Nancy service. BB26000 locos operate regional express services on the Metz to Basel route at speeds of up to 200 km per hour. Here 26146 passes through Windenheim station and approaches the camera on the rear of the 0615 Nancy to Basel service. 67591 heads the 0729 Strasbourg to Wissembourg service. This is yet another of the types of train in the area currently being replaced by new generation multiple units. Just 7 of this class remain allocated to Strasbourg for passenger traffic. There wasn't any freight services to be seen during our morning visit, although it was a Monday, which is always a lean period when it comes to freight in France. During the morning peak, there are roughly 2 TGV services running each hour, to and from Paris. This one, formed with unit number 4729, is the 0746 Strasbourg to Bordeaux service, which operates via Paris. (25588) heads towards Strasbourg, powering the 0753 service from Semmering. This is the 0655 Stuttgart to Paris TGV service, formed by unit number 4718. Meanwhile, 26140 powers at the rear of the 0715 from Nancy to Basel. 14 of the class are allocated to such services along this particular line. TGV set number 506 is in the new Camion livery, seen on this service from Paris. The set entered service on the 2nd of December 1992. (26153) crosses from the slow to the fast lines as it heads the 0820 from Strasbourg to Nancy. Finally, we see set number 542, heading north with the 0846 from Strasbourg to Paris. The main rail route that runs up from Würzburg to Fulda and onwards to Kassel is a busy freight line carrying a number of long-distance services, especially those going to and from the port of Hamburg. In this section, we look at the main line north of Gemünden to a point just south of Fulda at Stöbfritz in our stopover filmed on Monday the 22nd of September 2014. We begin at the small station at Rheineck, as 44325 arrives with the 1252 from Josa to Bamberg. Close behind, and nearly catching us out, we see 482008 on a southbound container train. In between trains, this work unit scuttles north. Evidence of the old goods depot is seen here, before MRCE Dispolok hire loco number 189909 passes with a southbound intermodal. Container and intermodal trains make up the majority of freight services seen on this route. This is the 1225 from Würzburg to Josa, formed by Unit 44302. There is an hourly local service on this line, the only passenger operations to be seen. The parallel high-speed line takes the majority of the longer distance passenger traffic. We are now at the station at Bergzin, where 44302 is seen once again, working back south from Joza. In the distance, the high-speed tracks skirt around the back of the station and run parallel with the old line for a short distance to the north. Four 4313 heads north with the 1407 from Gemunden to Joza. Not far behind, and MRCE Dispolock higher locos from classes 182 and 189 head north. ES64U2010 is the lead loco on this occasion. Roughly 2 freight services were seen each way per hour on our Monday afternoon visit. Other days of the week should see higher traffic levels than this. A passing thunderstorm made the camera crew dive for cover. The sun soon came out again as we see 44313 arriving from the north. Sister unit 44310 is seen in the station platform with a northbound service for Joza. We head north now, and we are next to the station at Joza, where northbound passenger services terminate. 152008 heads north with this trainload of finished cars. Single line working meant that some northbound trains were halted, awaiting a suitable path north. One such train is seen here, headed by MRCE Dispolok Higher Loco, number 182515. Heading south wrong line is another MRCE Dispolok Class 182, this time number ES64U2035. Also having drawn up alongside 182515 is DB's 152081. Our final scene on the stopover is from Sturbfritz, as 189930 exits the 1092 metre long tunnel with a northbound intermodal. In this part of the programme we travel to Switzerland, and the second of our mini-series looking at the main rail routes to the east of Basel. This time we cover the section between Technau and CZECH on the route north of Olten. At Technau we see 11140 powering the 947 from Locarno to Basel, passing the camera at 13:36 hours on Tuesday the 3rd of June 2014. This was followed by the 12 o'clock ICE service from Interlaken to Berlin, formed by Unit 401098. Sound barriers next to the station and along the platforms meant that filming was very limited. Here we see 460093 heading south. TGV set number 4724 was next on the scene, forming the 1023 from Paris to Zurich. Half a kilometre to the west of the station, we see unit number 521019 on the 1348 Olten to Esch. .460.099 heads north on the rear of the 1230 from Interlaken. With 20 trains seen each hour, this is a busy line, although most of these were passenger services. 7 minutes later and it is the turn of 46104, powering at the rear of this the 1330 Luzern to Basel. These trains make intermediate stops at the larger stations situated on this stretch of line. (11304) heads south 3 minutes later in charge of the 1404 Basel to Locarno. Note the observation coach in the formation. Local services are dominated by Class 521 and 522 Stadler units. Here unit number 521020 heads a stopping service bound for Esch. This is the station at Gelterkinden, as 11366 runs through on empty fuel tanks bound for the yard at Basel-Muttenz. This ETR 610 unit is working the 1125 from Milano to Basel. 522201 rounds the curve with a 1424 Laufen to Olten stopping service. On the opposite tracks are units 521027 and 522206, forming the 1517 Olten to Laufen. Freight services are roughly 2 an hour in each direction. Rounding the curve we see 42170 and green liveried 11364. Moving now to CZECH, and we see stabled Swiss Rail RE441 number 10034 at its home depot between special train duties. The loco looks superb, painted in the attractive TEE Rheingold livery. Seen approaching the station are units 522201 and 521025 on a service for Laufen. One 11125 passes by in the northbound direction with a rake of empty coaching stock. (46053) passes through at the head of the 1559 Basel to Interlaken service. Finally we see 500-019 heading north towards Basel. As already mentioned, this is a busy line with a number of passenger and freight workings to be seen right across the day, and is well worth a visit should you be in the area. Our final section comes from Slovenia, and it is the last of our mini-series looking at the effects on rail traction caused by the severe ice storm that wrecked the overhead electricity supply on the railway in February 2014. This time we visit the small town of Borovnica, which quickly established itself as the changeover point between electric and the stand-in diesel traction being used over the damaged section of line to Rachek. By May 2015, one track had had its overhead power supply restored, and electric traction was again able to operate the considerable number of freight trains that operate over this route. We begin with OBB's 2016085, running light engine ready to work its next turn of duty, a trainload of empty fuel tanks for the port of Koper. Main motive power for the trains were Slovenia's very own Class 664 diesels. Here 664118 arrives with loaded iron ore hoppers. As mentioned, electric traction couldn't proceed any further, and was replaced here by diesels. 363005 in the older mustard yellow, brown and green livery moves forward light engine. The loco was actually repainted back into this colour scheme after a recent overhaul, replacing the standard red and grey livery applied to other members of the class. These locos were built by Alstom between 1975 and 1977 and are very similar to the French CC6500 class of electrics. The points are set for the next departure, which sees 664118 running through light engine after being released from the iron ore train it had arrived with a short time earlier. Surprisingly, there are very few passenger turns along this busy line, but for those that did run and weren't substituted by buses, diesels again were drafted in to supply the power. Heading the 11:55 Rijeka to Ljubljana is 664105 with 342023 dead in tow. (363.009) had brought in a rake of empty iron ore hoppers, and these were taken forward by 664118. There are at least 4 such trains working along this route each day to and from the port of Koper, with the loaded trains being split for the run east due to the weight of the train, so that means 8 loaded and 4 empty each day. One thing which has plagued the residents of Borovnica since the diesels took over is the noise of the trains climbing up through the valley. After the station, the line switches sides by way of a wide 180-degree bend onto the opposite side of the valley. Here 664118 shatters the distant piece. After about 45 minutes, 664104 is ready to return west with the 1510 Ljubljana to Rijeka service with train engine 343022 in the consist. We now move slightly west of the station at the start of the 180-degree curve, as 664103 once more shatters the piece with a container train bound for Koper. and a little further up the hill, 664107 storms the grade. Note the severe damage to the overhead here, just 2 kilometres outside of the station. Dropping down in the opposite direction is 644005. Our final scene in this programme is of 664111, heading a trainload of loaded cars. We hope that this has been a fitting finale to the programme, as we thank you once again for watching this edition of European Railway.